From playing Killmonger in the Black Panther to playing the Human Torch in the 2015 remake of the Fantastic Four, Michael B. Jordan is no stranger to playing fantasy roles, and his next one is going to be legendary. He got a big part in the I Am Legend sequel, and he'll be playing a Darkseeker. Remember the good old days before the Oscar slap when everyone adored Will Smith?
I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yep, that's when he came out with one of the best apocalyptic movies ever. And now that we're getting a sequel, fans are over the moon. The second movie will pick up where the first one left off, with Robert Neville, played by Smith, learning that the zombie/vampire hybrids can love and connect with each other. These hybrids were called the Darkseekers. But if you've seen the movie, you'll know that things ended with a bang in the last film, so the setup for this movie will be even better. Producer and writer Akiva Goldsman has told fans that the sequel will be more true to Richard Matheson's book. The book was based on the idea that Robert Neville was the only person left alive after everyone else died when a virus went bad.
Dr. Robert Neville, September 5th, 2012, GA Series Serum, 391, Animal Trials, streaming video.
In the movie, everyone else had caught the virus and turned into a Darkseeker, which is like a cross between a vampire and a zombie. And spoiler, they're super intelligent too. If the second movie in the series stays true to the book and takes place many years after the alternative ending of the first movie, Dr. Neville will be the only likable character left. If this is true, Jordan's unnamed character would be a Darkseeker monster and maybe an enemy. There are, of course, many ways the sequel could go. So before we dive into that, there's one question that needs to be answered. Why did the Darkseekers look so human? Well, it has to do with the main idea, which is that the good doctor didn't realize that people didn't want him to try to cure them of their illnesses. Now that he was the only human left on Earth, he was in the minority, and the people who had been infected were making their own complex cultures. In their eyes, Neville was a monster who took their people, used them in experiments, and killed them.
Did all of them die?
Yes.
My God.
God didn't do this, Anna. We did.
This story fits well with the alternative ending of the movie that the sequel will use, even though the monsters will look very different. Oh, and also, the name Darkseeker isn't used in the book. Neville ends up falling in love with a character who is one, so that means that the undead in the films weren't like those in the books, because the ones in the books were pretty human-looking. If the sequel actually does happen after the alternate ending, the Darkseekers would have grown into beings that look and act more like humans, and have more intelligence, which will make Jordan's character a lot cooler. The fact that such a well-known actor will be playing a Darkseeker is a good sign for how the monster will look in the sequel. The 2007 movie got good reviews for its idea and Will Smith's performance, but audiences didn't like the CGI creatures. This was a big reason why people didn't like the alternative ending either, since the focus on the humanity of the Darkseekers just brought attention to how bad the CGI was. The emotional alternative ending of the first movie broke our hearts, as it did a great job of setting up the chance that the Darkseekers will blow people away years later, especially with better CGI. If the original book is to be used as the basis for the story, the monsters will need to have advanced societies that make them feel more like characters than just props. Also, it sets up a major face-off between the two men. Yep, Smith and Jordan might just go at it. Fans can't wait, and it's no surprise why. People loved the first movie, they adore Jordan, and this just might redeem Smith. Plus, we love it when the Black Panther star plays a villain. He's the best at it. So at the very least, you can be sure that he'll be super awesome. But it's too soon to know how closely the sequel will stick to the original story, in which Neville was cast out of a society of survivors. And if MJ shows up to fight him, it would be one of the best best fights ever. Based on what Akiva Goldsman said, fans think that the book will have a huge impact on the sequel. Oh, but wait. I've been going on and on about the alternative ending, but since we didn't get to see it on the big screen, most people don't know much about it. So I'll dive into that to get you into the spirit. Since the alternate ending split fans in two, the ending of the movie was super divisive. But there's another ending that does the book justice. The first film was the most critically and financially successful adaptation of Matheson's book to date. In the book, Neville kills himself instead of being hanged for his supposed crimes, but that wasn't done in the movie. People who were turned into Darkseekers by the virus have formed their own society. Many of them were still pretty smart, so they thought of Neville as a monster because he killed their whole race. That's also how it happened in the alternate ending of the movie. In the version that was shown in theaters, Smith's character spent the last few minutes locked in his lab, trying to come up with a cure for these zombie vampires. They attacked his house just as he figured out how to fix them. After fighting off the creatures, he gave his life so that Anna and Ethan could get away. With a sample of the cure in hand, the mother and son set out to find a colony of survivors and cure mankind. Keeping Neville's suicide in the adapted version means ignoring the novel's original motivation for his death, the fact that he has unknowingly become the world's villain. The alternate ending was just so much better, because even his dog survived. Also, the vampire-like monsters that broke into Neville's house weren't as ferocious and bloodthirsty as they were originally shown. Instead, they were trying to save one of their own that he kidnapped and used as a test subject. Neville let his test subject go back to her group after realizing that these creatures were smarter than he had thought. It ended with Neville taking the cure and his new family and moving to Vermont. But then, the hero realizes that he wasn't the hero after all. Francis Lawrence, the director of I Am Legend, said that the original twist ending was changed to the more heroic ending, and this was because the test audiences hated the alternate ending. It's not the first time this has happened, and it won't be the last that a test audience ruined a film. What a shame, right? With that out of the way, we can be super sure that the movie will be awesome. But when will we get to see it? The production for the sequel has already started, but unfortunately, you guys will have to wait for quite some time. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the movie is set to release in 2025. Since Will Smith has been busy filming Bad Boys 4 and giving us the masterpiece that was Emancipation. Even Michael B. Jordan has been pretty busy giving us super hits like Creed and Black Panther. So it took the creators some time to find a schedule that worked for everyone, but they did it. So hold on to your hats, because something great is about to happen. Well, there you have it. That's all I have on Michael B. Jordan playing a Darkseeker in I Am Legend 2.